he's really he's shameless in intellectual argument. He's absolutely without character, a moral foundation, or even intellectual substance.
All right, so for this episode, we have solicited our lovely followers for some anonymous questions through the app NGL.
And yes, if you can believe it, we do actually have listeners that will send us questions.
Yes. And Rio, you cannot see, dear listeners, but Rio is holding up the messages. We have not opened them yet, so this is going to be the first time we experience the messages. Should we go from first to last? So should you scroll down? I think that's a good way to do the narrative, Rio, don't you think? And because it's all on Rio's phone, he will be reading the questions for us.
I'm the key holder.
You are, yes. God help us all.
God help us all. I've never been a Dom before. So the first question is, what are your favorite periods of literature? And extra question, what new books are you looking forward to?
Oh, okay.
Starting off the tame questions.
Yeah. Well, I think we did answer that on our last Q&A episode, but perhaps this listener did not hear that episode.
And clearly we start off with the fake fans, really.
Yeah.
The people
Yeah, this is clearly not an OG Getting Lit stan.
Or it's someone who actually really is a OG Getting Lit stan and just is trying to test us to see if we're just faking it all the way through. We'll change our minds no matter what.
Yeah. So I
believe love repeating myself, so this is okay with me.
I've never repeated myself in my entire life. I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you mean, Reuben?
I've never repeated myself.
I've never said the same point like in every episode. I've never said the same authors in every episode before. This is just absolute slander.
I believe what I said last time was either 19th or 20th century, but I think I kind of swayed more towards the 20th century in the end. And in terms of periods, is that what they mean though? Or do they mean like periods?
Maybe like more
like modernism, postmodernism.
I felt
more specific. Like just saying 19th century. What does that even mean, right? Like,
well, that means everything from Jane
century.
Austen to fucking Oscar Wilde. That's what it means. All right, I like it all.
So long as it's British, right? I go from that answer.
Yeah.
The Anglo swine.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this was for the uterus havers, actually, Matthew. So.
Okay.
Yeah. What was your favorite uterine shedding moment of the
Maya Breckenridge?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I said the 21st century, and that still stands.
What about like actual?
But
maybe we should do like actual like.
Well, yeah. So in terms of 19th century, I would say movements like the aestheticism, like I did my thesis on Oscar Wilde, so like decadence and all that sort of stuff. And linked to that is the French symbolist poets. They were really good. And I really like the modernism across many different national contexts.
It's correct, of course. We now say modernisms rather than just modernism.
Yes,
just to keep it up with the current lingo, right?
Yeah. So that's me. What about you guys?
What do you?
I don't fucking know. I don't have a PhD. I don't know what this is. I don't know. I don't know. I actually don't know how to answer that one. I just like contemporary stuff. That's it. That's my answer.
That was a very Shaniqua answer. I don't fucking know.
I don't fucking know.
I just like whatever's good, man. If it feels right, I like it. I'm all about that.
Yeah. I'm the poptimist here. So
you're period vibing, right? That's all.
You're the poptimist. We need when we get Christian Lorenzen on the show, it just needs to be Christian Lorenzen and Rio, and like Rio needs to do like a big argument deep dive with him about poptimism. That's good content.
It's all good content. I don't know what I don't know what my favorite period is. I always like sort of. I feel like I'd assume it was like postmodernism or like that sort of moment or era. But I don't know. I really like the impressionistic like novel period from like the early 1900s or late 18th century to like maybe like 1930. So people like Conrad, James, Ford Maddox Ford, who I don't think gets read that much anymore. Like Forster, Elizabeth Bowen. Like I feel like they're not really modernists, but they're kind of like more
proto-modernists.
Yeah, they're kind of like that weird period between like the realist novel and the modernist novel, which I guess you can see that trajectory in like Joyce himself, right? The early stuff from Joyce and then the later stuff from Joyce. I really like that period for some reason, even though it's I don't write about it or don't really think about it that extensively. But I feel like it's the best to when it's done well, it's really good. When it's done badly, it's quite. I think that's the same with like postmodernism or metafiction, right? Yeah. When it's done badly, which is like 95% of it, it's just fucking awful and you hate it. So it's not really. I feel like as a period, it's almost like the end of a period or the death of a period rather than an actual sort of period itself. Yeah. But
all right, that's that one. Next question.
Oh,
we need to. That was a two-part question, wasn't it?
Oh wait,
it was a two-part question. Yeah. And what new books are you looking forward to? I already have an answer for this. I'm really, really, really looking forward to whatever Peter Polites is writing next. I read it. I had a reading of it maybe 6 months ago, and it was really fucking good. And I'm excited for it.
It's the getting lit circle joke. When's he coming on the
pod? Friend of the pod, Peter.
Bestie.
So what am I looking forward to? I still haven't got it yet, but Atesha Moshfegh's new one. That looks really good. I like the cover too. Like, I'm such a superficial bitch. I love when the cover's good as well. But I know she's a good writer, so like, looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to what else am I looking forward to? A couple of other things that we're reading for the pod. So I'm not going to give anything away. But yeah. I would say the new Atesha Moshfegh, which is called Lapvona or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Some hard bougie name.
I don't know. I feel like whenever Joshua Cohen eventually publishes his next novel, is always the anticipation. Because I think this next one.
I never repeat myself.
I never repeat myself.
Joshua Cohen. Hey, have you heard of this writer called Joshua Cohen?
Yeah, he may have won a Pulitzer. I don't know. Weird guy.
What's the Pulitzer?
He's really into mid-century furniture, apparently. That's a joke that only like two people are going to get.
You know what, Reuben? We're in the right place.
We're in the right place. Right? Apparently, his new novel's about whatever his name is, Jeffrey Epstein. So that's something to look forward to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of things that I know are coming out at some point, Sean Prescott, the Australian writer, has a new novel coming out in September or October. I think he's very good. I don't know what else. But yeah. Luke Harmon's new book, actually. Speaking of,
that's one I've got.
It's just come out, hasn't it? So, yeah.
I also forgot to say I've had this on my desk since it came out, and it's like 700 pages long, which is To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara. Because
you really should have just held it up and just everyone else just guess what the book you're talking about.
It's really big, and A Little Life is the best novel of 2017. And if you don't agree with me, then stop listening and stop giving us money and go jump off a very
I mean, I don't
short cliff into
no one's giving us money.
There are no cliffs around here for me to jump off that easily. I mean, I can't just end the podcast now.
Anyway, we can go to the next question now.
Right. Maybe we should I feel like we did get a question from Jared today about Atesha Moshfegh, so maybe we should go to that one now that you've mentioned.
What did Jared say?
He just asked us like what our thoughts were on Atesha Moshfegh.
I think she has a really cool name.
Is that Orientalist? I don't know.
I really like her mole. I like. No, I respect someone, especially a woman who keeps a mole on their face. Like, I think it makes her look really cute too. And I think she is. She would be the kind of person in terms of. She'd be a great fag hag because she wouldn't be like really loud and obnoxious, but she'd be really kind of silent but deadly, like very cutting. That's what I would. So she'd be great to hang out with. I feel, and I feel like she would like gay people a lot as well. So, certain type of gay man. She's a great writer. I really like the way she writes because it's sort of, she writes very similarly to Paul, friend of the pod, Paul, or he writes similarly to her or whatever. In that, like, it is pared back, but it's not empty. If you know what I mean. Like, so I enjoy that style of just being, paring things back, but it being pregnant with meaning at the same time.
What have you read of hers?
I've read the what's it called? My rest of year and my
The
year
of sleep and doing the lie down.
Yeah, my year of sleep deprivation.
my year of
When
rest
I
and
go
relaxation,
to the year and I lie
and-
down and I do.
and a couple of her short stories here and there. Yeah.
I love when mums don't remember how to say things and look it up.
And I'm the mum of the podcast, am I?
Yeah.
Sure. If
I
you
know.
want
I never really know what to think of her. Like I really liked my year of rest and relaxation, but Eileen is like, it's fine. Like it's well written. I kind of like enjoyed reading it, and I don't know. I think we may have talked about. Maybe we talked about this with Paul. I can't remember about like her short stories, and I don't like them at all. Even though I'm pretty sure, like, remember Paul saying that he thought they were really, really good. But I think there's just something off about them, and there's like a weird kind of like disconnect or something. I don't know. I think maybe her issue. And there are a couple of novelists like this now. I think they write too much. In that, I feel like since Eileen came out in like 2016 or something, she's basically had a book out every like year or year and a half, and I think that's probably like too much.
Well, I don't know
maybe.
that's like that she wrote those books
Probably
in succession.
not, right?
She probably had them
Yeah.
like ready to go
And then once Eileen did well, they started
Yeah,
like
yeah.
pumping them up and stuff. I mean, that's probably the case, but I don't know. It just seems like I don't know, overload a little bit. Like when the not the most recent book, but the one before that, like Death of the Family or Death of something like that came out, I just could not have given a shit, even though I really, really liked my year of rest and relaxation. So I think she's like, she publishes a lot. And the one thing I do kind of like about her is that she doesn't just write about the exact same thing over and over again. It's actually at least is kind of like she'll have that very sort of I guess millennial type novel like that, like what my rest of God, you made me do it now. My rest of year and relaxation is about. But then we'll go and write about like this most recent novel, and then the novel before that as well, and even like her first novel, McGlue, about like about sailing and stuff like that. It's kind of so I like that aspect of it, but I guess that just means that a lot of the books I'm just not going to give a shit about.
Yeah,
right. And some of them I will. But
all right. Any other thoughts on Atesha Moshfegh?
No.
Friend of the podcast.
Good.
Yes. Next question.
Next question.
We have 14 left. Considering you guys are discourse queens, I want to know.
Is that like a welfare queen?
It's not even a lie. What are your opinions on the John Hughes scandal? Feel free to copy someone else's smiley face.
That's good.
Mhm.
This will need a bit of explaining for people who aren't in Australia, I guess. Also, actually, people who are in Australia who don't follow shit like this.
It was pretty of all things, like, you know, people didn't hear about it, I guess. But.
Yeah. I'm not as across it as probably Reuben is. Do you want to explain it, Reuben?
Yeah. So John Hughes, former librarian of like Geelong Grammar School or something like that, I think. It was a librarian somewhere, something like that. Maybe not Geelong Grammar. Some big Melbourne High School, something like that. I don't know. Completely irrelevant to the story. Actually, maybe it's not irrelevant. His novel, The Dogs, which is shortlisted for, or was shortlisted for the Miles Franklin Award this year. Some Guardian reporter was reading the book alongside another book by Svetlana Alexievich, who Belarusian writer who won the Nobel Prize a while ago, and just happened to then notice that a bunch of sections were a little bit familiar between the two books. And of course, the Alexievich novel is also like set in Ukraine, and so is The Dogs, which has aspects of the novel set in the Ukraine. And there were sections that were just blatantly either very slight adjustments to it or just almost like word for word plagiarism. And at the time, the author and the publisher were just like, yeah, look, I just mistakenly did this because I had read Alexievich's book and it kind of got mixed up with the way I take notes because I was taking notes, like oral histories of my family who were from the Ukraine. And it just eventually just got like kind of messed up a little bit. But, it also kind of works thematically with the book as well. Like, I apologize for not doing this, but it's just the way my writing setup kind of works. I don't really save previous drafts, which is true. He doesn't do that. And that, these things happen. And I feel like at that point, most people were kind of like at least sympathetic towards that. It was kind of okay. People didn't really question it too much. And then eventually it came out that basically, like, I don't know, 40% of the book was just plagiarism. It was kind of like a magpie work of just random like stuff that wasn't even about the Ukraine or anything. There's whole sections taken from The Great Gatsby, from Anna Karenina, from All Quiet on the Western Front, from Jordan Peterson's book, which I think is my favorite take from that one. And just random stuff like all across. And there's a lot more people like Emmett Stinson and like Shannon Burns were sort of just combing through these things. And I think that was when people started to realize that it was actually quite more than just what he'd initially said. And then he wrote that bizarre piece in The Guardian, which I think was taken from his emails to the Guardian reporter about defending him, which had the perfect title, which I don't know if it was his idea or if it was the copy editor's idea, of I'm not a plagiarist and here's why. It's like, I'm not a crackpot and here's why. And his defense was something like, he tried to use as a defense the first line of Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude and another like South American novel, which I can't remember the name of, and saying that, well, Marquez has basically just like stolen this quote. So what's the difference between what I've done and what he's done? And you read the two quotes and they sound nothing alike. I mean, I can, of all things to use as an example, it was one of the weirdest things I think you could possibly do. And then, of course, he tried to use like T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland as like another example, and then some quotes about Eliot that what's the quote, something about like bad authors plagiarize, great authors steal, or something like that, whatever it is. But of course, as people like pointed out, like, well, yeah, Eliot also like had a bunch of footnotes at the end of his poem saying where every single source was, which was also kind of a misdirection, to be honest. But it was very, very, very bizarre all up. And it's just a very interesting situation.
So what are our thoughts on it?
Yeah.
I almost got away with it too if it wasn't for those kids and that pesky dog.
Wasn't for those meddling Shannon Burns and Emma Stinson.
If it wasn't for those meddling middle-aged literary critics.
I believe him. I think he did nothing wrong, and I would have happily had him win the award.
Well, I mean, what's actually quite funny is that I misspoke before when I said it was shortlisted for the Miles Franklin. It was longlisted for the Miles Franklin. So it was like one of 12 books. But as someone pointed out on Twitter, like the day before the shortlist came out, I was like, yeah, so the last like 4 or 5 Miles Franklin awards, for people who aren't Australian, like Miles Franklin is like Australia's biggest literary prize. The shortlist has always been 6 authors. And when they made the long list, they probably would have decided the shortlist at the same time, because they do like a bunch of promotional material that sort of comes out the day. So the authors kind of know in advance if they've been shortlisted or not. It just may have happened that there were only 5 writers on this particular shortlist rather than 6. So I guess you can assume what potentially happened there. And it's all just like very interesting that just some random, like how long would it have taken to come out? Like some random Guardian reporter just stumbled upon this. I mean, the people who are on the Miles Franklin shortlist are very capable people. And some of them are very, very good literary critics as well. And they didn't really pick up on it or didn't notice it. And you go back and look at some of these like stealings. The one from The Great Gatsby in particular, he's not just like taking like random passages from works, but he's taken like quite memorable and quite like canonically significant passages from works. Like the one from The Great Gatsby is particularly like that. So it's a question, and this is where like it becomes more complicated. It's like it's a question of he's obviously done this intentionally. Which is just very he can't not have done it. Like his initial defense of him saying that he didn't do it intentionally is bullshit, and he kind of admitted to that afterwards, but admitted to it without really admitting to it. And it's like I don't really see what the point of this is, particularly because he's like one of his first books, which I've got somewhere here, like the book of essays called Someone Else, is precisely about this. And you read the blurb of that book, and it's like it's him almost doing a form of like literary ventriloquism is the word that's on the blurb of like embodying fictional writers to write fictional essays for their work. So it's obviously intentional. And it's just, I don't really see why he tried to hide it in the first place and hide it from the public. Like, according to the publisher, and he's also hid it from the publisher. It hasn't even admit, like, why not be upfront about it? Or like, why, it's just such a bizarre sort of
I
thing.
also saw on, I think it was on Twitter, either Emmett or Shannon, I can't remember who, found like bits and pieces from different works that were just like, not like, how to put this, not like vibe passages, but literally like very mechanistic kind of things, like something like he walked that way, or like, you know, something really like banal like that. He even kind of copied things like that, which I find very strange. I
was going to say, this definitely shouldn't have won a literary award, but it definitely should be up for some sort of art performance thing, because that's what it feels like. I was like, okay, this is just like a long con to prove a point as some larger art thing that you're doing that's just kind of been ruined, so you're a bit defensive about it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what, like, so there I feel like there are two options here. Either it's like some big actual performance piece, and that the discourse reaction to it is like maybe part of it, but and that's like one answer towards it, which I feel is maybe less the case. Or the other one is that he just is trying to do some kind of like subaltern thing, and he just didn't want to be upfront about it and wanted readers to sort of play this sort of game. But but then why not defend it? It is like that. It's just I don't get his defense from it is what kind of makes it very strange.
Something that kind of clues me into like that I kind of sway more towards Rio's side of things. There is the Ukraine connection, because if you remember the other great example of Australian literary fraudulence, which was Helen Demidenko's, is it The Hand That Signed the Paper?
Yeah.
Which is like a fake Nazi Ukrainian collaborator story or something like that. And she sort of claimed that, well, that one was a bit different because she claimed a kind of authority through her family, which didn't really exist. Like she claimed to be like,
well, she claimed to be Ukrainian. She even did like native Ukrainian dances as well. I forget about that. And then of course became a advisor for David Leyonhjelm.
So that makes me think like, and like you said, that's right.
Yeah,
that makes me think the connection to the Ukrainian stuff. The book is about. I think
that's also maybe just I think it's a coincidence. Like his family is actually Ukrainian. His family was actually Ukrainian, so it wasn't. I think it's just a humorous sort of funny coincidence.
It's interesting though.
But what is I think like true, and what was very funny like throughout all of this is the amount of people who took it like deeply personally and like saw this as being like some sort of affront to literature in general. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I feel like Emmett's point about this was like, I think true. It's like, who the fuck actually, like, apart from like genuine issues of copyright, which is is much more like a legal issue, particularly around like Alexievich's work and others, where like you could potentially make a copyright claim, and that's much more legal complications that I feel like I don't know enough about. But if you just forget that for a second and just like, there's no fucking moral issue here. Who the fuck cares? It's fucking this literature. Like people do this shit all the time. Like Shakespeare stole all his plots. Who gives a shit? The issue then is it aesthetically meritable? Like, does it actually help to create a good work or not? And I haven't read the book, but from people I sort of trust their judgment on, and who would sort of who've read and judged books who are sort of working in the similar sort of vein, they just don't find it particularly interesting. And it's like I think that's much more of a
I think a lot of
right?
the outrage kind of probably stem from a lot of people, mostly writers, a certain kind of resentment. I think in the sense that someone who essentially faked a book got a spot in the publishing industry that someone who did not. Right.
Well, I think it's deeper than that, though, isn't it? Isn't it? It's more like so I feel like the outrage is not all the time from writers. I feel like the writers were actually kind of maybe more sympathetic. It was more from like readers and the public and maybe critics who were resentful of the fact that they got duped.
Yeah,
they weren't the ones who noticed it to begin with. Right?
It's the same thing with the James Fry thing, A Million Little Pieces, the Oprah's Book Club thing. Remember, like, I don't know if you guys know about that one, where he had this memoir that was completely fabricated, and before that was found out, he went on Oprah and got Oprah's Book Club, which we all know is a big deal. If you get that, you basically sell 1 million copies. You win, yeah. But it came out that, yeah, he had fabricated all this shit about his drug addiction and like crimes he committed and stuff. And then he had another episode with Oprah where she was just dressing him down. It's really funny. and she was angry because he had basically duped her. Yeah. And that was it's the same sort of reaction, I think.
Yeah. It's also, I think with this one in particular, it's just kind of odd because so much of he's not like, if it was a first-time novelist, it would be more interesting or maybe less interesting. But it's the fact that his career as a writer has almost in every book he's written has addressed these exact themes. And the book itself, like, does address these themes, apparently, particularly in like the latter part of the book. Like, I think that's the aesthetic purpose of it, according to at least some people I listen to, is that the uses of different works is supposed to like correlate with the people who are sort of invoking those quotes. It's supposed to be like about memory in the way that memory can be misused and that sort of stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's like fine, right? Like, there's no issue with that. It may have been done like badly or not particularly interestingly, but it's just so odd. And this is like he didn't make that defense. He kind of like tried to, but he also didn't make it. It's like, well, that's what I find sort of just bizarre about it. Like, you're a writer who's like mined this kind of field before, so just be upfront about it. And like postmodern writers have been doing this for years. It's not particularly interesting. It's like dull, really. Like, what's the originality here? And it's I feel like such an Australian thing as well to be like, wow, you can write like this. You can do this kind of thing and like be experimental about this. This is fucking bizarre. We need reality. We need real things. We can't have like lies or fabrications or anything because that disjoints our sense of our sensibility. It's like, yeah, fuck off. Go back to your fucking bourgeoisie Tim Winton fiction, bitch. Fuck off.
Yeah, that's actually something that I was going to say. There's something a kind of parochial feeling about the response. Whereas, like, maybe if we were in a bigger country where so many writers, quote unquote, income didn't rely on awards, maybe this wouldn't actually matter that much.
Yeah. Also, particularly funny that friend of the podcast, Michael Winkler's book, like kind of like pokes fun at the fact that he doesn't have the archival record. It has to use like footnotes and everything and like fake footnotes.
Next question.
I'm
sorry.
Yeah, no. Okay.
Next question.
Next question.
Spent way too much time on that.
Yeah.
Am I enjoying NGL? Yes, I am.
Yeah,
that's a good question. I mean, that's the best question so far.
Thank you, NGL. Who is the most overrated Australian writer right now?
Ooh.
Talk about parochial. I don't know if I should say it. I don't know.
There are so many to choose from.
There are so many to choose from.
It depends, like, overrated in what sense, I reckon. Like, by like people like the prize winners or what the public decrees or what academics decree, like, kind of, I don't know.
I mean, I don't read a lot of, quote unquote, popular fiction, if that makes sense. So, but also it's popular for like a reason. I don't really see the point in criticizing, pop lit, because it's it's a bit like criticizing Marvel. Like, we get it.
It's like booing at the Special Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, the Special Olympics is you're funny. I guess I don't know. I maybe this is hard for me to say. I read the 2021 Vogel Award winner earlier this year or late last year, which is Now That I See You by Emma Batchelor. Because I read a really funny, I may have actually said this on the podcast before, I don't remember. I read a funny review that was the issue that they took with it was that it was another trans story seen through a cis lens, and that was a little transphobic. And I thought, oh, my issue with the book was not that. I thought it was actually quite, empathetic outpouring of, thoughts and feelings about the breakdown of a relationship over gender transition. And that actually its biggest crime that was actually just kind of average. And I was like, oh, this won the award? Oh, maybe I can do it too. I don't, yeah, like, so, I mean, with all due respect to the writer. I think.
Yeah, sorry. This is a hard question to answer, not because like I care about like stepping on one's toes, more that like overrated, like Reuben said, overrated in what sense? Because I feel like a lot of people with marketing behind them are overrated, right? Like, you mentioned Tim Winton before, and like, yeah, I think Tim Winton's overrated, but I acknowledge that there is some skill there with Tim Winton, similar. And this will be my official answer, which would be, what's his name? Boy Swallows Universe.
Oh, Trent Dalton.
Trent Dalton.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a reflection on, his abilities, which like obviously people have responded to it, and like his writing has, been well received by a lot of people. But it's more that's what the idea of overrating is, right? Like you're pushing something out beyond its kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say objective, but objective kind of aesthetic capacities or something like that, And
I think like any book that kind of fits into that kind of zeitgeisty kind of thing, or like will sort of it gets summoned up to be representative of something, is, as you said, like it's never going to be overrated. So it's very easy to say, like from our sort of milieu or perspective, like Tim Winton or Trent Dalton or whoever it might particularly
It's really
be.
easy to say that about Tim Winton. You're right.
Yeah, it's just easy to say. It's like, okay, well, it's so well. Like, you kind of expect us to say. I feel like the person who wrote, gave us this question, like, expects us to answer to say like Tim Winton or something like that. I think like
if it's not Tim Winton or Trent Dalton, it's like pretty much every other writer in Australia. It's like, I don't want to use the term, but it's like punching down.
Yeah, so yeah, who's
they're
rated?
They're in a fuck situation. So
it's like, yeah, so anyone, like I feel like it's much easier to say like who's underrated. But then again, it's like underrated in what sense? It's like, is Murnane underrated? Like from the public he might be, but from like from an academic standpoint, you could maybe make an argument that he's overrated. Like many people would, right? And so I don't know. I think it varies. The one person I kind of do feel like is maybe a little bit overrated. I'll give two candidates. One is Richard Flanagan. Even though I wrote half my honors thesis on Flanagan's work, but I feel like the more I go back and look at some of his books, they're not good. They're really not good. And the other person, which I feel like is maybe more contentious, is I don't think Christos Tronkos is any good. Which I know is
get out.
Maybe more
get out.
I don't know. I don't think he's. I don't think he's that good. There are other people as.
You don't think any of his works are good?
I think he's fine. I like reading his books, but I don't think that. I don't know. They're nothing. I enjoy reading them, but I feel like people maybe overinflate their worth, which I guess is the point of being overrated. Right?
No, I think that's so fair. And I actually was thinking about Chalkers the other day, a few weeks ago, and the fact that I've only read the first few of his books, and I haven't read anything since Barracuda. I haven't read Barracuda or anything since then. He's been a career writer for a very long time now, and just like, I think I literally may have said this on another podcast. It's the Mapplethorpe syndrome. Like, are we just doomed to be more shit as we don't have anything to write about? His last book was literally just a writing about himself in lockdown. I haven't read it. Apparently, it was good, but yeah, nothing to mind anymore.
All right. Next question.
Next one. When's the Sally Rooney app dropping? Ayo.
Is that an actual question?
We should probably actually do one. We should do one with all of her. We should do all of her books, like in one episode.
I was literally just thinking that same thing.
Yeah. And maybe we can have Angela again for the Irish perspective.
Funnily enough, I'm actually watching the Normal People TV show right now.
Oh yeah.
It's really good.
Mm.
I'm gonna get that Connell chain and show my pubes. It's like the show. It's inspired me.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Yeah, we could do a Sally Rooney episode.
Yeah, we'll do a Sally Rooney omnibus.
Oh,
but in order to actually get the episode, we have to hit the donation incentive. So if you want to see us do it, just donate.
Donate. My God, foreshadowing the Patreon. Who do you think is the hottest guest you've had on the show?
Oh, I have to go through all our guests.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look at the schedule.
I just want to say all of our guests are really fucking hot. They're all just like...
I want to have their babies.
We actually don't let you on the podcast if you're hot. So if you haven't been on the podcast before, that's why.
We rate everyone with a number-based metric.
Okay. So who we've got, last guest was Liam.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Maddie and Josh from Evil Thespian. There's Angela Nagel. There's Gian. There's Alice. There's River. There's Paul again. Telepathy Party John. Remember him? There's Michael.
Come back.
There's Michael Winkler. There's Zach Langley Chichi. There's Aaron Manhattan. There's Alison Taylor. There's Cena. And that's it.
This is just
who's the hottest?
This is just like another variation on the question we had for the last Q&A.
Yeah,
like,
fuck, Mary, kill.
Fuck, right. I feel bad because like literally my two best friends. Sorry, boys, love you. I think all of our guests are really hot. I think Alice and Ali Gribbins, she's so hot. Oh my God, she's such a hot mum.
She's a yummy mummy.
She's a yummy mummy.
Yeah, I mean, we all know where my allegiance is like. So I'm not...
But like I said, everybody's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm such a fucking cop.
It's such a non-answer.
I don't give a fuck. I'm the lib here. I'm the libtard here.
But Matt, you can't say it's a cop-out answer. You didn't even answer the question.
All right, I will say. Who am I going to answer? I will say. Scene is pretty hot.
Yeah. Hey babes.
I love her. But I don't know. I haven't met Liam either. Was Liam hot?
You know who the hottest person on this podcast is the person who asked the question.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the girl reading this tweet.
She's a 10, but she listens to Getting Lit. What do you?
Exactly. What is Reuben's PhD about? I want autistic detail.
Jesus Christ. Who the fuck is asking these questions? Like, I did not. We're not self-planning these questions. I swear to God.
Okay, Reuben, get autistic for us.
Let's get autistic in here.
Yeah, you're gonna get the version that I give when I'm going on a date, which is definitely me just like staring off in the distance as being the most autistic I could possibly be at any possible time. Okay, my PhD is about Australian metafiction. It is a weird amalgamation of things about like Gerald Murnane, Brian. Ria, are you taking a piss?
No, I'm getting a drink.
The angle looks like you're about to take a piss. It looks like you just put your phone down, like on the sink.
Yes, sorry. I am. I'm peeing.
So this is the kind of autistic detail you get. It's like live play-by-play about what's happening in the video chat. So yeah, it's about Australian metafiction. So I've got like chapters on Murnane, Brian Castro, John Scott, and then the rest is sort of up in the air at the moment. Probably like Marion Campbell, maybe I forget her name. Maybe Jane Craig, maybe Louis Armand, probably Anthony Macris, a few others, right? The main, and this is where it gets more autistic, the main sort of thrust of the thesis or the main argument is that metafiction or scholarship about metafiction or criticism about metafiction kind of resists what metafiction is actually trying to do. So the main implication of metafiction is that it resists traditional reading practices, which is what everyone sort of accepts and admits. Like, of course it does, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be metafiction. But the issue is that most scholars or critics, when they're writing about metafiction, they just reproduce those same traditional reading practices. They just write traditional literary scholarship about metafiction and try to say that, well, for them, they're like they kind of like issue is that, well, we kind of accept that metafiction is kind of like the best form of literary criticism. So therefore, we should just write. Our only option is either to like just keep writing metafiction ex nihilo, which they see as being kind of defeatist and kind of undermines themselves, or they can just do sort of traditional descriptive scholarship, which is what they end up doing. Which is nothing wrong with that. It just seems to me kind of like, I don't know how you can say that something resists traditional reading practices and then use those same traditional reading practices. So each chapter of my thesis kind of tries to write as, so if a metafictional writer will have particular kind of tropes or metaphors or figurations for the process or for the process of writing, but also the process of reading, or in some way try to figure the reader-writer relationship. So my argument is that you have to take those metaphors or figures or tropes as though they were literally true. So the Castro chapter, which you can read in Antipodes if you'd like to, is basically saying that, well, Castro sees a relationship as one of like a doppelganger type relationship. So I write the piece as if I am the doppelganger of Castro. And then he has like a bunch of other metaphors for that relationship. And I try to write as if they were kind of literally true and like what the implications for that would be in a formalist sense. So like the chapter on John Scott's novel, What I Have Written, is kind of positing like a sexual fantasy theory of literary criticism. The chapter on Murnane is kind of like a weird thing about intertextuality. So it's, yeah, that's the autistic version of my PhD. About my elevator pitch, which is a very long elevator.
So you're doing almost performance art in your PhD.
Oh yeah, but it's kind of like performance art, right? It's very odd, but I don't know if it works or not. But you know, you can always.
We'll see if you get that doctor in front of your name. It worked.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to see the evidence of whether or not it works or not, you can read the article in Antipodes.
I can't wait to know Dr. Mackey.
Well, it's gonna be a lot better than Mr. Mackey. I won't have the fucking South Park jokes anymore.
Okay.
If I like, you know, those people like, oh, you can't see your doctor unless you're a doctor of medicine. I say, fuck off. If I have PhD, everybody calls me doctor. Do what I want. Who do you think?
If you want more autistic detail, get in my DMs.
You'll never get out of his DMs.
Yeah. No, it's probably someone who already is in my DMs who just wants to like fucking hear my voice. But you know.
Who do you think is the sexiest living author?
Jesus Christ, who the fuck? How horny are our fans? What is this?
They're very horny.
And it's very obviously Joshua Cohen. You don't need me to like. I'm just gonna keep shilling.
China Melville.
Is he?
Oh my god!
Oh, he's so hard.
He's so hard.
I gotta
Yeah.
teach.
Shit.
I'm teaching China Melvin.
Oh my god!
Oh my god,
Every
he
single
is so
time
hard.
I see him, I'm like, just come over.
What kind of are we talking about? Like, if I put him up, like a photo of him up on my PowerPoint when I'm teaching his work, like, it will be like a first.
It's a very specific.
It's
a very specific gay thing because it's sort of like a skinheaded sort of thing.
Yeah, he's kind of
But
like.
he's like a hardcore Marxist though. But like, it's sort of he's got like a bald head. He always wears like the black shirts. He's got like the earring.
the earrings and like.
And he's like,
He's like, yeah, it's a little bit like 80s skinhead.
Yeah.
But like, evolved.
And he's really buff too.
Yeah.
So.
Pierce Brown is really like pretty in the face. He's just like a very pretty man. He's so pretty.
I don't know who that is.
That's fine. You don't have to. He's hot. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
I wish I had a better answer. I wish I had like time to think about this. I don't. I feel like I don't have a good answer apart from.
Gerald Monet.
Gerald. I mean,
babes. Gerald. Sorry, Pierce Brown is a YA author, which is
Oh god. I mean,
he's alive. Okay.
The real answer isn't Gerald Monet. It's the author personage known as Gerald Monet. He's really the hottest person you can imagine. I mean, that guy is a drip king.
What you can do, here's something metafictional for your thesis. When you do the Gerald Monet thing, you can use that quote from this podcast as your little epigraph for the start of the chapter.
I mean, no. The epigraph for the Gerald Monet chapter is, which I feel like people have kind of like forgotten that he said this last year in the White Review. But he said he was the daddy of all eccentric. It's a direct quote. That's the epigraph of the chapter.
Okay.
I don't know. That's so funny. You just like China Medieval just kind of fucking took it. I don't think there's any other answer.
He can take it. That's for sure.
Just take it. I was like, no, I need to. No, it's just China.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, there may be a particular episode coming out soonish on a certain Brazilian author, Clarice Lispector. But she was very attractive. She was very sexy, very hot.
She dead though.
She dead, right? But
yeah.
I mean, I feel like
this is so that they can slide into their DMs, Reuben.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'll think of something later, and I'll
yeah.
Beautiful. Who was Australia's answer to alt-lit? I don't know what alt-lit is. Do you know what alt-lit is?
Alt-lit is like Tao Lin and people like that, isn't it?
I don't know who Tao Lin is. So
okay.
I don't know. Some fucking
okay. Do we have
that sort of thing? Like, I don't know. Maybe Paul.
Do we have one?
Paul. Yeah, but not really, though.
Well, yeah, not really. But Paul has been influenced by that. So maybe, I don't know. Like, it's not really, we don't do stuff like that in Australia. It's either sports people's biographies or like, melodramatic realist fiction. And that's it.
I don't think we really. There's probably like someone out there who would kind of fit that description, but I don't think we really have one.
Probably like the lifted brow when that was a thing. Like I think they were going for like Australian alt-lit sort of stuff, but that's all I can think of.
I don't know. What is alt-lit? Can you give me a little short? Does that mean it? Could you give it a description? Does it just mean weird fiction? I don't know.
No, it's more like I'm no expert, but it's more like kind of alternative music in the 90s, like that, but literature, right? So usually targeted and about like younger people and their lives, and just done in a alternative sort of way. I think.
And I feel like it's very particularly like sort of almost like hyper realist internet fiction as well. I feel it's kind of
okay. Oh,
well,
maybe Patrick Linton then. Although I know Patrick Linton personally, but he writes very silly fiction about that kind of thing.
I think of like there are certain writers who, like Jen Craig's writing is kind of like that, but she's kind of she's not from that generation. She's from she's from the generation before that. So I don't think it necessarily fits. Maybe I think there are maybe some poets who maybe can kind of fit more into that description than maybe fiction writers. But I think we've sort of like maybe I've said this before here. Like, I think poetry in Australia is much more open to that kind of writing than prose is, just from the fact that there's no audience for poetry, so no one really gives a shit what you do. And yeah, I think there are probably some poets like that who would fit into that description.
Yeah, cool. We're getting a lot of Australian literature questions.
A lot of Australian literature questions.
Okay.
Next. Okay. You're going to love this one. Are the internecine battles within the Western Sydney literature scene a sign of its brittle, cultish, ego-driven, self-promotional quality? Does this mean it's the new left bank of our times?
Yes.
Who the fuck asked this question? Was this Liam? Did Liam ask this question?
I don't think he did. I know his writing style. It's not this.
Yeah, he's trying to confuse you. It's someone from Western Sydney.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I think you're in Sydney, so you tell me.
I was just going to say, all battles within all literature scenes are signs of their brittle, cultish, ego-driven, self-promotional qualities, and that all
thank
of these
God for that.
are signs of the new left bank of our times. If you think about it,
Yeah.
I have no idea. Yes, it does.
I think read Luke Carman's essays on this topic. But I mean,
read Max Easton's book, as we talked about in the last episode. Like it's kind of about this. And it's about like what it means to even exist within that kind of literary space at all, right? And someone was I'm living in Footscray at the moment, and there was a recent like emerging writers festival thing at the Footscray Library, and it was kind of like about like what it means to like sort of be like writing the western suburbs in Melbourne and someone asked a question that was kind of like positing that kind of how is Footscray, or like the western suburbs in Australia, Melbourne, going to have a kind of similar kind of literary space that the western suburbs in Sydney do, and from a I guess multicultural background, like the western side, like particularly like Footscray and the sort of inner west, is quite similar to Western Sydney. But at the same time, it's just like we're just like searching for fetishized communities, right? We're searching for something to be new and exciting, and I don't know. I think any writing that looks too far outward in search of that kind of communal aspect is doomed to be shit. And the only kind of writing that is ever good within that space is writing that has been described like that by some critic, but never actually desired that or intended that. And the death knell for any kind of writer is the thing that you're writing for a community.
That's true.
Particularly today, I think there are obviously going to be like exceptions to that rule, but in general, just
I think just generally, as an artist of any kind, you need to be like a full-on. Reuben will love to hear this too. You need to be a full-on individualist, libertarian, or like quasi-fascist in your fascist eye with your aesthetics. But you need to do it for that reason. You need to not do it for a community reason. And that's why all of these kind of ventures, I think, are doomed to fail. And I'm sure what I think will happen is that if you are worried about like there not being enough representation of certain communities, like if people within those communities are given like, that sort of individualistic drive to represent that, that'll just come up naturally. I don't think you can force it. Like you cannot, because if you try to force it, what you end up forcing is a very particular kind of thing that is really not representative of the community anyway. And it's also just really bad most of the time.
Yeah, and it's just kind of I think it's also just like oddly reflective of something like very I don't know if this is just like an Australian thing. It might be like other countries have this as well, but I've noticed it in Australia in that the right, and I'm using these terms like very fluidly, but the right in a literary or cultural sense is always talking about how we need stories that speak to the course of national identity or something like that, right? Or we study certain works of literature to inoculate our cultural sensibilities or to provide some sense of objective standard of identity or belonging or whatever those different tropes are. We're always fucking writing essays in high school about belonging or fucking some shit. That's a very Australian thing. I don't know if that's something else, but it feels very Australian. But the people on the left do the same thing, right? They just do it in a much more fragmented sense of we must deconstruct national identities so we have local identities instead.
It critiques the idea of nationalism, but it like ends up making all these petty nationalisms. Like it's about
it's
the Western,
right?
it's about the Western suburbs instead of like just the whole country or whatever. So it's just the same thing, but just in miniature. So it's like, and it's almost like there's more of a fervor for it when it's that petty nationalism or localism or whatever.
Well, I mean, that's just because the conservatives lost control of the literary establishment fucking years ago. Right? Yeah. So but it's like it's conservatism by another name, right? It's just not a all hail the individual, right?
Libertarianism.
That's right.
Yeah. True diversity is when everybody gets to be a cunt.
Correct.
Next question.
How is Reuben the youngest when he's got such a lit dad taste?
What the? I swear to God, I'm not planning this question. This is who the fuck is
Reuben? They love you. I'm obsessed. I also love you.
Can you repeat the question? But I didn't actually hear the.
How is Reuben the youngest when he's got such a, in quotes, lit dad taste?
Man, it's because it's as we've said on this podcast many times, reject modernity, return to tradition. Like I'm just Benjamin Buttoning up in here.
It's fine. Look, give him 5 years and we'll get there.
Give me 5 years and I'll be even more base in my takes. I won't read anything beyond the 18th century.
It's like, if it's not the Epic of Gilgamesh, I'm not interested.
If it's not written in, if it's in English, the only English I want is Middle English, right? I don't want any of this modern English and these plebs who can't even know what grammar is. I mean, this is once everyone gets better taste, then I will age like fine wine in a.
All right, I think they got their answer.
Keep bringing in these questions. Like next time, I want more. I want more questions that just confirm me and my narcissism. This is all I want.
I don't think we're going to be able to answer the next one. It's we've been sworn to secrecy. When you spoke to Angela Nagel, did she tell you if she has a secret Twitter account?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think she does, but she didn't tell us. She didn't mention anything.
I don't think that would ever come.
She didn't like. She cannot
officially know.
Officially no.
But maybe.
But maybe.
I bet that was Angela who asked that question as well. She's
from
planning
her secret
NGL account.
Yeah.
What fragrance do each of you wear?
Oh, well, I've got lots.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got my fragrance shelf just here, so I can go through them all if you want.
Please. Oh, yeah.
So the top three. Okay. So my summer one is Philosophos by Diptyque. It's like
isn't that by Socrates?
No, you idiot. Yeah, and this one smells like figs, so I love it because I love figs. What else do I have? I bought this duty free in Dallas when I was there. It's by Guerlain, and it's Le Homme Idéal. It's very musky. I quite like it. And the other one I have, which is I'll just mention this one, even though I've only ever worn it once. This is Secretions Magnifique. by what are they called?
Secretions.
Yeah, because it smells like cum and blood.
What? Amazing. What?
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good scent.
It's very it's an acquired taste. It's very people either love it or hate it. And a lot of my friends hated it, so I've only worn it once, but I will wear it again when I'm not hanging out with them. Those are my top 3 anyway.
I can't fucking find. I've had the bottle just before, actually. I've been wearing this day. If you don't know me, I'm actually a terrible gay man. It's all for show. I put my voice up when we record. My style is very
so butch.
My style is very teenage boy who got a present from Christmas. I'm wearing a David Beckham fragrance at the moment.
That's awesome.
I can't find it, but it's really nice. It's not very masculine. I look like a football player. But I also have this Adidas one I've had for ages. It's called Dive. I really like it. It smells like spray my face. It's like chemicals, but in a good way. Do you know what I mean? And there's also Capsule L'Orientale by Karl Lagerfeld, which is probably the most gay one that I kind of wear often. Although the bottle's almost over. And that's a lot more musky, I guess. So not many florally or fruity stuff, but I do like fruity smells on people. But yeah, I just smell like a boy's locker room.
Hot.
I'm going to shock everyone on this podcast. I've never put on cologne in my entire life.
That's a lie.
No, I've never put on cologne.
Liza Minnelli lies.
No. It's all natural, baby. And women love the natural Maggie Musk. It's such. I think I did own cologne once, but I think it was something a cousin of mine must have bought in one of those fucking Lynx starter packs or something like that, which must have come with some cologne, or they bought something once. They were like, oh, he's a man, he must wear something. I don't know. I've never worn more than deodorant in my life. I've never even tried on cologne.
Well, now I know what to get you. To induct you. I need to induct you into the life.
We'll just get the audience is just going to start sending him samples. DM me and I'll give you Reuben's address.
It's David Beckham Beyond. I wear pretty much every day. I think it costs $10. I should just say as an extra fun thing, I bought the VB.
I remember.
I also wear that quite often. It literally just smells like beer. You're basically just spraying beer on yourself.
That's awesome.
Which is great.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that about Reuben. That's very interesting. We'll have to do something about that. But
what did you expect?
Next question.
You know what? You're absolutely right. What's a book that makes someone hot? You're on the fence about fucking someone and you see it on their shelf and go for it.
I've got the best answer. It's a there's an old 4chan green text thing that I've had saved on my phone for 7 or 8 years, and I basically remember most of it off my head. This guy brings this chick home, back to her apartment, and they're fucking or whatever, and he sees in the corner that she has a copy of A Scanner Darkly on the thing by the Philip K. Dick novel, and he keeps asking her, oh, A Scanner Darkly, how do you find that's my favorite book? And she's like, oh, it's so good. It's oh yeah, but it's a little long, isn't it? It's oh no, it's not too hard. Sorry, no, she's saying it's too hard for me. It's it's too hard. What are you talking about? It's not too hard at all. It's oh, read it to me, Anon. It's read it to you, but you can't even read it yourself, and eventually gets up and leaves. So that's the appropriate response if you see A Scanner Darkly. It's obviously infinite. I feel like this answer depends on if it's a guy or a girl. But
if it's a gay man, any book really. If there's any book in the house,
they shouldn't read. They're not supposed to read.
If it's any book other than like a Mary Kondo or something, like
Honestly,
that's sexy to me.
it is really funny the amount of like gay men's house you go to, and it's all immaculate. And I'm like, oh, like, do you like read? And like, oh, I've got like 2 or 3 books, and it's always like that, or like Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah.
Or...
Oh, that fucking book. That book. What? Why was that book everywhere? Like, I kind of looked at the blurb. It's like
appeared.
that. Yeah, that book.
No, I can tell you.
That is the Olivia Rodrigo of books. Like, it just suddenly appeared, and like everyone was like perfectly into it.
The perfect connection is the movie stars none other than the same woman who was the main character in Normal People in the TV adaptation to that.
Oh, there you go.
So it all comes around.
Yeah.
It all comes together.
I don't know what is. Fuck. If they've got what I've got on my bookshelf at the moment, then yeah, definitely slide into my DMs.
Joshua Cohen. If you're a woman and you know
I'm not,
you're
the saddest thing is right now, like, you won't be able to see this, but like on my pillow right now is a copy of Joshua Cohen's collection of short stories. But if you do have a copy,
actually, I would think that Joshua Cohen in a woman's bookshelf would be a red flag. No woman should read Joshua Cohen. Yeah,
that's
slander. That's like a nerdy man thing to do, you know.
Well, yeah. This is important. If she has a copy of Infinite Jest on her nightstand, that's a massive red flag because she's never actually read the book, and she's spotted you a mile away, and it's trying to lure you in. Don't trust it, guys. Sanctity of the I don't know, based virgin DFW.
The lip
protect your sanity, lip bros.
I don't know. I'm just gonna say The Tommyknockers by Stephen King.
Okay.
You know.
Right.
I think it's very sexy when people read like obscure books by famous authors. You're like, no, like only 3 people. Like everyone knows who this person is, but no one's ever fucking read that book. I salute you.
I'm pretty sure I've someone had both Deleuze and Proust on their nightstand once, and I slept with them. So you know that's that's
heavy reading,
right? Heavy reading. Well, that's a big book, Anon.
When they have all 7 Harry Potter books on their shelf, get out.
Yeah,
get out. Get out.
Yeah, which of course is most women, right? So.
No, we've already done this one.
How do we start off with all the good questions? This is devolving into shit.
What was this?
Marry, fuck, kill, getting lit guest.
Oh my god, we have done that.
No, we're not doing this again.
We already did it.
We have more guests now, though, I guess. But
yeah. Although the next question is the last one. Thank you for playing along with us, listeners. It's been a lovely evening.
What? That was the last one?
No, the next one is the last one.
Oh, okay, all right.
I can't even fucking say it. What would you do if he was okay? So he said yes, would go.
What?
Didn't you hear, Reuben?
Say again.
What would you do if he was okay? So he said yes, would go. Obviously.
Is this some meme thing that I don't know about? What is it? What is it?
Yeah, it is. It is. That's it. That's the meme. It's what would you do if he was okay? So he said yes, would go. That's the question. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
okay. I'm sorry. This is official. We have the stupidest fucking. Listen, what the fuck?
You fucking retards. Goodbye.
How did we start so well and end like that? This is bullshit.
Well, I think the point still stands, Reuben. What would you do if he was okay? So he said yes, would go.
Yeah, would go. See you later, boys.
Bye.
are the answer to my question. You are my accomplice in a crime. You are my wing woman, and did I mention we were together in another life? In that dreaming, you probably were my wife. Cause we worshipped in sin for fun, two melting candles against the sun. Modern angels, they broke her wings in the wind. For what? Decorated by man and time, ornamental and quite divine, manifested in their commitment to flame our minds. Ooh. You are the answer to my question. You are my accomplice in the crime. You are my wing woman, and did I mention we were together in another life? In that moment, you probably were my wife. In the twilight they danced and played. The fireflies, they go light like rain. In the dreaming we struck each other and prayed for pain. Ooh, you are the answer to my question. You are my accomplice in the crime. You are my wing woman, and did I mention we were together in another life? In that dream, you probably were my